So in 2007, I started an organization called Back on My Feet. It's a nonprofit that uses running to help the homeless change the direction of their life so we can help them in real way to get jobs and homes. I was 26 years old when I started this organization, and it grew to a $6 million annual budget. It's in 11 cities. I don't need that, but thank you. It's, you guys gotta look at me the whole time, sorry about that. It's in 11 cities, and we've helped thousands of people change their life. But I'm not here today to talk to you about what a great entrepreneur I am, or how to start a nonprofit, or even homelessness. I'm here to talk about identity, complacency, and insecurity. So by the time Back on My Feet started, I had been a runner for 10 years. I started running when I was 16 years old to deal with the family issues that I was having at home. You see, I had my entire life figured out by the time I was 12 years old. I was gonna grow up, get married, have 2.2 kids, have a dog, live in a huge white house with a white picket fence, and have this killer job. And I thought life was gonna be that easy for me because of the way that my childhood was going. I was really good in sports, school was very easy for me, I had a lot of friends, and I had a pretty stable home life. But when I was 16, that all changed. I remember this day for the rest of my life, and it was a Friday in July. I was sitting home the summer before my sophomore year in high school, and my dad came home from work early, asked if me and my brother or sister could leave for a while so we could talk to our mom. And that was a weird request. You know, my dad's never asked us to leave the house for a conversation, and he's also not the let's sit down and have an emotional conversation type of guy. So I knew something was wrong. And we all left, and I was the first one to come back. My mom wasn't there, but my dad was upstairs looking somber and scared and nothing like I've ever seen him before. And that's the day I learned that my dad had a pretty severe gambling problem. I didn't really understand everything that day, but I knew my dad had a history of addiction. He went through drug and alcohol recovery when I was a little kid. I've never seen my dad drink or do drugs. I've never even seen him be tempted by those activities. But for years, my mom did. She saw the struggle, she saw the deception, the lying, the irresponsibility, which are things that accompany any addiction. But those were not attributes that I would use to describe my father. And my mom knew that she did not have it in it herself to muster another round of this, and she asked him to leave. So for a 16-year-old kid who loves her dad more than life and thinks she has everything figured out, and her dad being a gambling addict and having a separated family was not part of my 12-year-old plan for myself. So I spent the next 3 years being a very challenging kid for my mom, and also trying to fix my dad. You know, I didn't get addiction, I didn't understand how it worked, and I wanted to make it go away. I was quite unsuccessful at that. That's not the way that it works. And that's when I became a runner. I had all this negative emotional energy inside me, and I had to do something with it, so I chose running, or maybe it chose me. And I quickly and thankfully got consumed by the life lessons that sport teaches you. You have to learn to take things one step at a time. You have to learn that sometimes there's gonna be a hill, metaphorically and figuratively and literally in your way, and you have to make choices about what you do about it. Are you gonna run up it and hope that you get to smoother paths on the other end, or are you gonna reach deep within your pockets and find the excuses that we carry around with us all day long and turn around, or go left and go right and convince yourself that you've ran enough today, it's fine. You don't have to do the hard work. So I start going 1,000,000 miles a minute. I go to college, I graduate early. I go to graduate school, I graduate early there too. I know you're wondering where's the complacency part, right? Trust me, it's coming. But I was in a hurry to get to this point in my life that this house, this job, everything that I thought was gonna make me so happy. When I was 24 years old, I found myself in Philadelphia. And from 24 to 26, I was completely lost. Well, if there was one thing that I knew about myself, it was that I was a runner. I ran every day at this point in my life at 5:30 in the morning, and I ran by this homeless shelter that was not even a quarter mile away from my apartment. And every day, I ran on the opposite side of the street with my headphones in. Why? Because I have nothing in common with those guys. They're homeless. Well, one day in May of 2007, these group of guys started to wave at me. And I have good North Dakota Midwestern values, so I waved back. And pretty soon we had a really fun rapport happening each morning, and something just like that was like, Ann, why don't you run with these guys? Why do you get to be the runner and they have to be the homeless guys on the corner? So, yeah, I can run with these guys. They live right here, logistically makes sense. I'm gonna start a running club for this homeless shelter. I called up the director of the homeless shelter and I told him my idea, and he tries to think of the nicest way to tell me that homeless people don't run. And I say, okay, well, if you could at least ask them and see if anybody's interested, I'll take care of everything else. I'll get the shoes, I'll get the clothes. And it took a little bit of badgering, a little convincing, but I soon got an email back from this gentleman with the names of 9 guys and their shoe sizes, asking me what's next. I'm super excited for, to run with these guys, and I get new shoes donated for everybody because I wanted to have a really good experience and start things off on the right foot, pun intended. And so I go up to the shelter to meet these guys who I'm going to be running with for the first time, and I walk in, and I kid you not, I had felt like I had found my people. For years of not connecting with people in a way that I felt like there was something wrong with me, if something that I was doing wrong, to walk into a room with 9 African-American men and to feel like I was exactly where I was supposed to be was a really powerful moment that was so authentic. And these guys are looking at me, wondering what I'm doing there, some young blonde who wants to run with them, what I'm getting paid, what's in it for me. So I open up about my dad and my love of running and how I ran by these guys outside and how I want to help them. And the most important thing we did that night was sign a dedication contract, which said, if you want to be part of this running club, you have to be on time, you have to show up 3 days a week, and you need to agree to treat your teammates with respect and dignity. I didn't look at these guys and say, man, you guys are homeless. Like, you're going to be late, I get it, or like, you're not going to be able to come every day, you're homeless, right? A lot of the people treat those who are homeless in that fashion. And these guys looked at me, and I looked at them, and we had 100% pure expectation about perfection of what we were going to do. We had our first run together on July 3rd of 2007. Some of us ran, some of us walked, and some of us admittedly crawled, but we all got our mile in that day. And over the next few weeks, a couple of things happened that made me realize this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. 2 pretty simple observations. 1, these guys were showing up every day, and they were on time. Not for me telling them that they have to be there, and if you don't come, I'm going to take away your shelter, I'm going to take away your food. I didn't have those things to threaten them with or to provide for them. They were there because they wanted to be there, and we were providing an environment for them that made them feel good about themselves. They were getting celebrated. They were getting rooted for. They were having a positive impact on my life and vice versa. And the second one was, we would track everybody's miles on a poster board after the run, and I would take a marker next to their name and color in the miles, which were cumulative from the days before. And these guys would just push and shove for the best seat behind my shoulders to watch me take that marker next to their name. And isn't that what we all want? Recognition for the work that we're doing? We want to feel valued, appreciated, loved, and cared for. We want someone to take notice of us. But at the moment of feeling, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life, I feel it. This is the answer. I'm going to build this into a nonprofit. I'm going to build this into an organization. I'm going to hire staff. I'm going to raise money. And all I needed was validation. I needed someone to tell me that this was a good idea. I was a 26-year-old, so I'll call my mom. My mom did not tell me this was a good idea. Okay, great, I'll call somebody else. Called my dad, ironically enough, concerned for my safety. Called mentors and people that I'd been working with. I had real jobs, obviously, and people were like, Ann, this probably isn't the smartest thing for you to do. You're helping these guys, you should feel good about that, but to jump in with both feet and to walk away from employment and try to do this thing, you may be being a little bit naive here. It kind of sounds silly. And you're doing enough, pat yourself on the back. We think we live in a video game sometimes, and if we make the wrong decision, that it's game over. And it leaves us standing in a spot of complacency that we don't do anything at all. It's much safer and more comfortable to stay in the dot than to walk over there. I don't know what's over there. There could be bears behind that TEDx sign for all I know. So we just stay put. As I mentioned earlier, Back on My Feet started to grow and grow really quickly and got all kinds of attention, and I was getting all kinds of awards. It was a really great ride, and most importantly, we were helping people. People were literally moving out of shelters into homes and getting jobs through our program. But in December of 2012, I started to hear voices and started to feel like I wanted to do something else. And I was sort of like, how dare you, Anne, or whoever that is in my head? What do you mean, do something else? Like start something else again? No flipping way. For those of you who know me, you know I just restrained myself heavily there. What do you mean start over? Like build something else again? No way, that was so hard. And this thing's doing so well. It's helping people, and it made my personal life make sense. And this story, isn't that story amazing? It's like incredible. And people would walk me around at cocktail parties and be like, have you met my friend Anne? You have to hear what she did. Have you met my friend Anne? She's amazing. Have you met my friend Anne? She's amazing. Did I mention how many people thought how amazing I was? Start over, leave this thing? I pushed away those voices for months, but they didn't go away. And I've learned that there's a really fine line in being comfortable and being complacent, right? Being comfortable makes us feel safe and secure. Positive words that I think all of us would associate with. Those are good things, safe and secure, good things. But it can so easily seep over to being complacent that we stop from living our lives because we're too scared to leave the circle. I wanted someone to tell me this was going to work out. It's going to be fine, right? And I realized that this limb I had to walk out on again, I wanted it to be some kind of steel beam. But you don't get the goodness out of life on taking the safe way out or taking the secure way out. Those feelings are good feelings. If you're not feeling those on a regular basis, and I mean regular, not once every year, right? Once every 2 years. Think about the last time that you truly experienced a deep and profound different emotion than you do on a regular basis. That you've had a different experience, been to a country where nobody speaks English, tried food you've never tried before, entered into a relationship and completely made yourself vulnerable. No way. Right? Scary stuff. So how do you know when you're being complacent or you're being comfortable? Again, very fine line. They're like first cousins. It's hard to decipher. So I think the essence of being complacent, you know when you're being complacent, I think everybody in here does, when we start making excuses for our life. And I think the biggest part is staying in situations, right? We stay in a job that we're bored to death with, and we complain about it every frickin' Monday, and we don't do anything about it. I don't know, if I quit my job, I might not be good at that one. I might not like the people. I might not like the drive to work. So I'm just going to stay, and I will bitch about it my entire life. That's complacency. That's not comfortableness. Relationships, right? We've all been there. Friendships are more intimate ones, where we just stay because of the fear of being lonely. And you're not being fulfilled anymore, but you just stay because that's the right thing or the comfortable thing to do. I was in Costa Rica in 2014 with my boyfriend at the time. We had been together for 4 years. We had lived together for 3 of them. And our relationship was a 6, and the sex was like a 5. And we didn't have a bad relationship. We liked to do a lot of the same things together. There was nothing bad about it, but I wasn't inspired by this person. We wanted different things. He wanted to get married and have kids. I wanted to rule the world. And he kept thinking, oh, you'll get there. And I kept thinking, yeah, I'll get there, right? At some point I'll want to have a baby and get married. I'll get there. And we just could never connect on the level that I was looking for in a partner to be truly intimate and vulnerable with somebody, and it was a 6. So we were sitting in this yoga studio, getting ready to do yoga, and this woman walking around who was our teacher, casually saying the things that yoga teachers say, and she nonchalantly rolled off her tongue, if you're going to have anything new in your life, you have to let something go. And I was like, I'm breaking up with you. I said it in my head, not out loud. I have a little bit more class than that. But a month later, we broke up and he moved out. And it was super scary. Did I make the wrong decision? Did I not try hard enough? Maybe it's me. Maybe I should have just put more effort into it. But I had to know myself well enough to know staying in that relationship would have been me settling and being complacent. And I deserve to live my life at a 10. Maybe not every day, but on a consistent basis. Or my friends and my family and my loved ones deserve for me to contribute at a 10 or at the highest level possible. And I deserve that in return. I'm not okay with a 6. Neither should anybody else in this room. So I think it would be great at some point if I can leave you with a little nugget, because I know I'm in the way of everybody's cocktails right now. It was very nice of them to put me in between you and your cocktails. Think about your life for a second. I mean, really think about it, right? You know, you watched a video about habits, and I think it's deeper than that. Think about the things that you do or you don't do, and why is it? What are you afraid of? What is it, your identity? Or is it the complacency? And what if it doesn't work out? Learn to figure out a way to be okay with that. Otherwise, your life is going to be less exciting than it could be, and it might sink down to a 2. And the best news is, you are responsible. You are empowered to make your life whatever you want to make of it. But you're never going to get there without the nervousness, without the anxiety, without the unfamiliarness of what's going to happen here. You have to let the unpredictability be allowed in your life. So think about that. Think about how you're spending your days, your weeks, your month. Write it down and be honest with yourself. Are you happy with the things in your life? Are you happy with your job? Are you happy with relationships? Are you happy with your friendships? Are you happy with your health, your spirituality, your practice, your music, whatever it is? And make a decision. Make a decision to live your life at a 1 to a 10. And that's up to everybody to decide. It's nobody else's problem. It's nobody else's choice. And it's nobody else's excuse. Thank you.